Hello. Welcome to the SQL review. This is going to be a live interview question that I'm going to kind of go over and help you formulate somewhat of a strategy as to like how to approach these problems. First thing like that I'd like to mention is that prior to an interview, it's probably like as you would already know. It's probably a good idea to like research the company pretty heavily. So like look into their products, look into um, their business model. These things could kind of give you a hint as to like what kind of coding questions can come up. So prior to even the coding interview, like take it step by step and look and research their company. Try to get a good understanding of their business model, what kind of value or service that they're offering to their customers. And this research will acclimate your mind to like what it is that they actually do. And from there, you could have better inferences and intuition as to like what their data or coding interviews will look like. So with that being said, I'm gonna continue with this question, and this was a live question. It was conducted on coderpad, which I mentioned earlier. It's a live coding session. Okay, I know that like in this situation we can't do this live, so I'm gonna do this review with you, and it'll give you a taste as to what a real question would look like. Okay, a real interview question. Um, so this was with a fintech company, and they basically serviced people in the roofing, plumbing industry. Okay, and they basically kind of provide different financing options. It's a platform to kind of link these three types of entities, right, into a single kind of platform where customers could talk to, get loans, and then they could see the contractors and whatnot. So there's this interaction in this platform that they're trying to kind of create. Okay. So with that being said, they also, like in during the interview, gave me basically three tables. There's a contractors table, okay, which included unique identifiers, the date their accounts were created, company details, and location, right? They gave me a loans table, which is a loan ID, contractor ID, loan approved, which is a Boolean, one or zero, is true or false, loan amount, financing company approval date. And then they gave me customers. Okay, so customer ID, contractor ID, project type, project cost, and completion date. Okay. So they gave me these three tables, and in this case, we were actually pulling from a real database. Okay. So that sometimes doesn't happen. Sometimes they just give you basically a problem and then they want to see kind of the steps you use to solve it. But in this case, they actually gave live data that you have to query against, right? And in the other cases, they might, just be concerned more about the logic and not give you live data. So that's kind of like what happened. And this interview took about an hour or so. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. I mean, like there are times that you possibly could be stuck. Hopefully not, and the interviewer will kind of help you through that along that process, right? Because you're given like basically an hour, you look at these three tables, and then they ask you right off the bat kind of what questions that they're interested in seeing you solve, okay? So here in this case, like I basically build a sample data set, right? Um, and it has all the information that, the tables are supposed to show. So like we've got like, the date, the company, the type of, work that they do and whatnot. These are the loans, the lending companies, and the customer data. So like you saw that basically from here, with the foreign key, you have to kind of link up these tables or join the tables. And then, like immediately that should be like kind of like on your mind when you see that. Okay. So the first question that they asked was find the cumulative loan amounts approved per contractor ordered by the loan approval date. Okay, so there's a number of things that kind of like come out in this question, right? Some of the things that you should immediately pick up on. Okay, so like the loan approval date. So obviously the loan has had to be approved, right? And we saw that here that there's a Boolean, right? So this has got to be a one. Um, Loans approved per contractor. Okay, so like this is kind of like where we could use a Windows function. That's something that also should be, you know, picked up on. And then it has to be ordered by the loan approval date. Okay. So find the cumulative loan amounts approved per contractor ordered by loan approval date. Okay. So in these kind of problems, the first thing is identifying like exactly what it's saying and then proceeding to build your code. Okay. So so basically, like what we also know is that we need a loan, right? And we need the contractor. Okay. These two words, loan and contractor. Okay. So we know that we go from contractor C. I mean, this is the way I started off the problem because I knew that like we had to do a join immediately. So like I do from contractor C, join loans L on contractor ID. Okay. And we saw that contractor ID on the loans table is a foreign key, right? Where this is the primary key for the contractors. Okay. So that's the way we would first start. I mean, that's the way I first started off, right? Is like noticing that I would have to join tables. So I did that part, okay? And then I like I mentioned earlier, we have to make sure that the loan was approved, right? So where loan approved is equal to one. And I mentioned that earlier, right? And then we have to order by the approval date. And you have to kind of order by contractor ID and the approval date, right? Because we've got multiple contractors and multiple approval dates. You'll see that because we filtered out the ones that were not approved, that there's only going to be one contractor. Okay. So that's that. And then in the select statement, what we would use is the sum over partition by contractor ID ordered by L approval date. Okay. And that Windows function would be embedded in the select statement because we want the cumulative loan amount. And when we run this, we get that 15,000 here being the cumulative amount and then by date. I put all of this here just to kind of show you that basically that the cumulative function actually works. Okay. So that's how you would solve this problem. I think we went over a couple of these in the review um, earlier, but this Windows function was used during the interview. Okay. Now, the second question they asked was find all possible combinations of contractors and financing companies, regardless of actual transactions. Okay. So immediately you should think, okay, like this is kind of like a Cartesian join, right? Um, and you would think, okay, the first thing you would use is a cross join. Okay, that's what should be coming to your mind. Okay, and actually distinct, and I'll tell you afterwards why, if you don't know already. But basically, these are the two functions that you would use. Okay, and then they're asking for contractors and financing companies. So obviously, you would take the contractor ID, the company name, and then the financing company, and then you would join it from contractors, right? And then you would join it uh, using a subquery from all the financing companies, the distinct unique values from loans. And then you'd order by the contractor ID and then the financing company. Okay. And it'll give you all the combinations, like Roof Master to Lending Club, Roof Master to SoFi, Pipe Pros to Lending Club, these were the only two, right? So, and these were the three um, roofing or, maintenance companies, right? So basically you would cross join and have all these combinations. Now, why use distinct? I mean, the reason why we would use distinct is because we want to pair each contractor with unique financing companies once. Okay. We don't want to do it and then it runs redundantly. I mean, we have like redundant entries. Okay. So that's the reason why we would do it. We use a distinct. The next question, and this was the last question, he asked me three. What are the total projects and revenue per contractor? Okay. So, I mean, like, basically, we know that like revenues, it's going to come from the customers table. That's pretty obvious. We have to link up the contractors with the customers table on contractor ID. Obviously, look, with these, I'm hopefully nobody's being thrown off by these, but these are temporary kind of like holding places. It could have been A and B. A dot contractor ID is equal to B dot. It could be whatever you want, right? Is basically what I'm trying to get at. Okay. So that's what the join is. Okay. And then we know that total projects, it's obviously kind of like some type of aggregation, right? Total projects and revenue. Okay. So we would do that. Okay. We would aggregate by um, company name, by the company, right? And they're asking total projects. So count customer ID as total projects, because obviously, like the customer is the consumer of the service, and that's basically counted as a project, right? And then you would sum the project cost as total revenue. Okay. So these things, the point that I want to make is here is that this group by and these count and sums, okay, in the select statement, they're related, okay? And that's basically what you would do to get the answer to this query, okay? So roof master, 15,000, pipe rose, 8,000, fix it fast, 30,000, okay? And that was basically it. I mean, like a couple of points that I like to make is basically, you are under some type of time pressure, right? So you have to kind of be careful in terms of like managing your time. Um, if you don't know something or it's not familiar to you, like try to work with the things that are familiar with you and the things that you can answer quickly, because that will build some type of confidence going forward in solving the problem. And make sure also like not to be too hesitant to ask questions, okay? Because you're seeing these tables for the first time, and the person interviewing you has seen it probably daily for a year or so. You know what I mean? So it's always good to ask questions and kind of be a little bit bold in terms of asking him things that you know he would know basically maybe right off the top of his head, right? So concepts, you know like what the table structures are. I mean, whatever it is that will help you solve the problem to the best of your ability. Okay. And then, prior to the interview, like try to relax, try to go through a couple of practice problems, but don't overdo it. Don't cloud your mind. Like you should be a little bit relaxed when you go into the interview, and you should be fine. Okay. So that's it for this interview question. I'll see you in the next one.